Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Cup Duet Reviews. I am your ginger host, co-artistic producer, Mackenzie, and tonight we are talking about a really stunning production, I have to say. It is one full of many colors, including ochre. And we are discussing the musical that's currently on tour from the London Palladium. It is Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It was directed originally by Laurence Connor, and now it's running at the Mirvish Princess of Wales Theatre until February the 18th, 2023. And there are rush seats available, so you can go get it at an affordable rate. Surprise! Commercial theater is available to you. You do not have to sell a kidney to get there. Congratulations. But yes, rush seat, that's how I went and saw this piece, and it was wonderful. We'll get into that. But joining me, I have a very special new guest who is joining our Cup family. It is someone who I spend a lot of time with at the castle.
Yeah.
It is the one and only author herself, Esther Fisher. Hello, Esther.
Hi, Mac. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, Esther, why don't we start this little review by saying, what was your favorite song of Joseph?
Oh, gosh. I've always loved, was it Pharaoh's Dream? Which is
Yes.
that one?
Yeah,
I always
the
loved
opening
that
back
song.
to Pharaoh's
Oh,
Dream.
yeah.
The
That's
Elvis
just-
number?
Yeah. No, not the Elvis number. The one
Which
before
one?
it.
The one before it. Oh,
Yeah.
you mean the one that like really opens Act 2?
Yeah, the literal opening of
And then
Act 2.
Pharaoh,
Yeah,
the
that one,
narrator sings when
Yeah.
she's introducing Pharaoh. And
Yeah.
Pharaoh comes around.
Yes,
da-da-da,
that
you
one.
get
I
down
love
on the
that
ground.
one.
It's very melodic.
Mhm.
It's very humbly melodic, I have to say. But I'll say my favorite though is One More Angel in Heaven. It is such a good bop.
Western. We love the Western.
It's very Oklahoma.
It is,
I
yeah.
mean, people who know me know I'm a big fan of Oklahoma and the farmer and the cowman. So, you know, it's like right up there. And I'm always sad that every recording they do, they never include the dance music in the song.
Yeah.
It always cuts off at the end of the singing and then never includes the dance.
Yeah.
Like, the instrumental is like one of the best parts.
Because you can jam to it.
It's such a jam. I could totally get in the gym to that song.
Yeah. Or just dance around the house.
Yes. Right? Exactly. A cooked meal, you know, a goat or a sheep, whatever they do in there.
It's a goat. It was a goat.
That's right. They killed the goat.
They killed the goat.
They killed the goat. But yes, we're going to talk about this show today. Esther, you've said your favorite song, but we always have to ask our big beginning question. What is in your cup?
I am a simple man. I have water.
You are a simple, sentimental man who always wanted to be a father. That's why you do the best you can. Bring each citizen of Oz a son or daughter.
Yes, a glass of water. Yes,
a glass of water. Which that's kind of funny considering Alphabet melts by the water.
Yeah,
but
I'm not a witch, obviously.
Yes. And what is your ensemble? Is there anything special that you did?
No, unfortunately not.
No. It's okay. I did it for the both of us. I broke up my Technicolored Stratford tie. So it's Shakespeare's face in different colors.
It's funny because when you hold it up, the green actually has the background in it.
Right?
I can see you through your tie.
There you go.
I love it.
Magic. And of course, I am drinking from the Cup, our official cup. And I'm drinking a cup of Earl Grey tea. Because when we are recording this, it is a rainy, cold night in Toronto.
It is. It's very misty still.
Very misty. I'm glad it's not snowing, though. Snowing, I can do without. Rain, I'll take. I just got to get my umbrella and, walk a bit brisker. But snow, no thank you.
Yeah.
It's gross. But let's get into this, though.
All right.
So, Esther, before we dive too far in, why don't you give us a little bit of background on how did you come to this show? What were your general thoughts on the production?
So, I grew up listening to Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I know it word for word, start to finish. So, when we learned it was coming to Toronto, it was just buy the tickets now.
True.
So, yeah, that's how we came to see the
Did you see the 90s Donny Osmond production that was
Yes, I did. I saw that. I was 3, I think.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it was late 90s. So it would have been young.
I think it was 3 or something. And the theater ushers didn't want to let me in the theater because they were afraid I was going to be like super noisy. And
That's
my
great.
grandmother just said, no, just let her in. She'll just sing along. And that's it. She's the best child you'll ever know. And yeah, I just sat there and sang along.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
great.
in a rarity, there actually is a cast recording of the Canadian company that is available.
Yeah.
Like never happens that the Canadian cast gets a featured album, but there's a Canadian album. So if people want to listen to that production, you can. So then you went and saw this production, and what'd you think of it? Did it live up to the hype?
I'll admit I am colored by Donny Osmond.
That's true. He's a very good Donny.
He is a very good Joseph as well. So watching this show, I had to put myself in the mind of, this is not Donny Osmond. It's the same show, but a different production. So I couldn't hold it to the, it's Donny Osmond aspect of what I've grown up with. Yeah. I liked it though. It was good though.
So then when you removed yourself from the mindset of Donny, you enjoyed the production though?
Oh yeah, I had to keep it in its own sphere.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it. You enjoy it for what it is. It's like going to see Les Mis with Carl Wilkinson versus like not Carl Wilkinson. It's a very different game.
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, for me, this is actually really kind of the first time I've seen this show live, because I saw a regional production back in like the early 2000s with my school. We did like a school trip to like Penetang or somewhere in and around the Barrie area. I did a production of it. And for the life of me, I can't remember much of it. Besides, I remember that Susan Gilmore was cast as the narrator. Yeah. And I wish I remembered more, because she's a fantastic singer. I'm sure she was excellent. But I cannot for me remember much of that live production. So that meant that really I've only ever grown up with the 90s pro shot of Maria Friedman and Donny Osmond and Zack and Cody's dad from Friends with Zack and Cody playing the Pharaoh. Yeah. And that is a very unique production, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
It's very kitschy, but it works. It totally works for the 90s and for what they were going for. It hit its mark. But I only never knew that one. And so there's no cast recording of that version. Which it makes me very sad, because I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, considering this is my first live production that I really memorable live production I've seen, generally speaking, I really enjoyed it. I mean,
good, yeah.
It was really fun. The audience was having a blast with it. I mean, there are a few directorial choices we'll get into that I'm a little mixed on, but overall, it hit its mark. It did a very good job of balancing all the elements of the show. You really just kind of sat back and enjoyed the piece for what it is. I mean, it's a biblical story, so there's a bit of mysticism. It's not going to all make sense here. It's a musical from the 70s when it was a changing time. Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice were just starting out. This is their first big collaboration together. So, this is you can see that this is the starting point for them, because you can listen to the music and go, there's a little bit of Phantom, there's a little bit of Evita, there's a little bit of Sunset, there's other elements that they're going to use later on, and other, like, melodically speaking, that will come back in more in different ways. So it was a lot of fun. And I mean, it's just, once again, this show knew exactly what Laurence Connor, who is a extraordinaire, who has become a favorite of Lloyd Webber and Mackintosh. He directed the Les Mis revival productions, the Phantom revival productions, Miss Saigon. He's done all the big Lloyd Webber Mackintosh remastering shows. So this was another one off his list, and I think he did a very good job. I think we'll get more into details, but I'd say overall, highly recommend it. It was corny and exaggerated at times, but at other times it went right to the ground and gave really genuine emotional moments. I was like, okay, you're actually dropping in this moment. I'm impressed. So yeah. But I mean, Esther, we can't go much further until we address our Joseph, Jac Yarrow, who is from Cardiff, my family's hometown back in the day, before they emigrated to Canada. So there we go. But, he's a good Welshman. And I mean, the Welsh are known for their great singing. But Esther, what do you think this Joseph? I know he's not Donny, but when you remove the Donny from it and it's just Jac Yarrow, what did you think of his performance?
He's a good singer. Fantastic actor. I loved him as Joseph, but I felt like he didn't have a big enough presence on stage to drown out the rest of the brothers.
I see what you mean.
Right? Because I'm expecting Joseph to kind of always be forefront.
And
I know they tried to pull that off with the coat and the costume choice of him being in like all white at certain points to just have him stand out a little bit more. But energy wise, he didn't feel as big as I wanted him to or felt like he should be.
He was playing very grounded.
Yeah.
And everybody else was playing very big. Like there are two different dynamics of performance going there where like he was playing more to the genuine, not flamboyant nature of the show. And I think Donny did a bit more because it's Donny Osmond. Like he has a star power quality about him.
He's a peacock.
He is a total peacock in the best way possible.
Yeah.
I mean, he naturally just attracts your eye, his acting. Yeah, I agree. Jac, as Joseph, he gave a very good, very straightforward performance. It was a very kind of nice, angelic image of the dreamer Joseph. Like, I compared him to like Captain America Steve Rogers, just in a musical where it's like he's got the chiseled jaw, he's kind of got the six-pack going. Like, he is very kind of, you know, all American or all British, you know,
all
like,
Welsh,
you know, guy.
Yeah.
And his singing voice is terrific. I mean, directorially, my brain would go, as we were talking a little bit off mic at the beginning, is if you listen to what they're saying at the beginning, Joseph's a bit of a dick. Like he's not the most humble person at the start. No. It's understandable why the brothers do what they do to him. And
it's understandable.
And I think for me, I would like directorially giving Jac a few more points, like plot points or moments in the show where at the beginning we see, oh, okay, you're a little cocky, you're a little cocky at the beginning, and then by the end he is a humbled, you know, brother who like forgives his family. Like when you sing "Close Every Door," he sang it gorgeous. Like he belted the hell out of that song. But at the same time, I think there was a little bit of anger that was missed. Like at the beginning, there should be a real pain of what's happened to him because it's the first time where he's being sold a slave. He was really kind of abused, and you know,
a lot,
assault. I'll say it. He was assaulted.
He was assaulted. Yeah,
like did not consent to this in any way, but yet he gets thrown in jail for it, and then he's angry and he's upset, and I think as much as I loved how beautiful he sang it, I would have been okay if he didn't hit all the notes perfectly. That we got a bit more layers.
Voice cracky.
A voice crack or just something a little bit different. Because he came in so beautiful, so angelic right from the beginning. It's like Carl Wilkinson singing Bring 'Em Home. I mean, Carl Wilkinson comes in and hits that song. You're going in there and he's singing it vocally perfectly every time. And Jac does the same thing. Like, he is a natural singer who just, when he goes for it, he belts it out, man. And he owns that space. And you don't see anybody else.
No.
Like, he's literally glowing because they also have him white pants. But like he's literally glowing on stage. Yeah. And you can't help but go, oh my God, the voice is blowing me off my feet. But at the same time, directorially, I would have loved Laurence Connor to give him a bit more notes on layering a bit more. You don't have to be perfect right off the top. Like build to that big perfect belt at the end when you're talking to God. Yeah. At the beginning, you can be a bit angrier. You can be a bit rough. It's okay because it's a natural human moment to be, you're thrown in jail. Likely you're thinking to be executed. Yeah. And, you know, you're at the bottom of the well, literally. And you're like, what the hell, God? Like, close every door to me. Like,
especially with that song, because it starts, I don't know if you've memorized the lyrics or not. It starts as me, I. Like, why has this happened to me? It's not an exact quote, but there's a place in Israel for me. Yes. And then through the song, it's then us. Yes. And I feel like going from me to us, that anger goes from one person to the belt. Yeah. And that should have,
it's a change of perspective.
Yeah. I think it should have just, that fine tuning could have made it so much more heart-wrenching in a way.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. But overall, Jac Yarrow, like, stunning lead performance, like, minor nitpick of give me more anger here. It's like, that's such a minor thing where it's like when you're on stage for almost 2 hours, basically, you and the narrator holding this show together, like you got to be really charismatic and really kind of there to own the energy. And he definitely did well there. So I'll give him full kudos. For that. Absolutely. But besides our wonderful Joseph, what other character do you think was best performed?
Pharaoh.
Me too.
Oh, I was so looking forward to it.
Tosh, Wanogho-Maud. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Pharaoh was
So
just
good.
I don't know what I was expecting. He just absolutely blew every expectation out of the water, and I just went,
Yes.
oh my God, this is amazing. Oh, it was perfect.
He totally was. Like, he comes out with his eyes closed and he's got the fake eyes painted on top, and then it flicks open.
It took me a second to figure that out because I was up in the balcony, so I could see it, but I wasn't sure if his eyes were actually open or not. So I got this really weird, he's staring the entire time-esque thing.
I love that. But and that's exactly like Tosh came out and knew this is a caricature.
Yeah.
Elvis. Like, this was written, and I mean, Lloyd Webber admits he wrote it because Tim Rice did a really good Elvis impression. And when they did it in the school show, Tim Rice played Elvis. And he's always said nobody's ever matched Tim's Elvis impression as Pharaoh. And
that's
it's like,
fair.
okay. And it's like, okay, so if you come in knowing I'm doing a caricature, there's a certain level you have to know how to play that. Where you're allowed to go big, but it's also like, there's a level of bigness you can go to. Also keeping the character grounded enough that it has the weight of who this person is.
Yeah.
As the king of the land. He is Pharaoh. Like they say, like, you get down on your knees. And we know at the end of the last act, he has his cook executed. Like, the cook doesn't come back, only the butler does. So, like, Joseph's dream came true. Cookie died. Like,
poor cook.
Poor cook.
What did he even do? I don't even know what he did. He didn't do anything.
We don't know what he did. We just say that he had in his dream he has a basket of bread on his head and the crows keep eating it.
Yeah.
So I assume that means maybe he stole some bread.
Maybe?
I don't know. I don't know. We don't know why they're in prison. They're just in prison.
Yeah.
And one of them dies, one of them lives. And it's like, that's very clear. And Joseph even says, Pharaoh has it in for you, my friend. Like, it's like, this guy does have authority. He can kill Joseph if he wants to. And Tosh had that energy and power to him that when he was on stage, he commanded the center stage. Like, he doesn't move that far in the choreography.
No.
Like, he's basically parking and barking at different elements on the stage. But it really works well for him there with that. Like, he just owns the space. And just that really deep voice that he brings out, it's like, the audience laughed every time because it's like so good. Bass.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's just so good.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
Like he got the biggest share of everybody in that cast. When I was there, like, everybody was up on their feet for him. Like, he
stole the show with that. The single song stole the show.
Yes. Hey, Joseph.
Yeah.
And it's just so good. And then, of course, you have the great set pieces that are moving at the same time. Like, he just owned that space. So you can watch anybody else but him in this one scene where he's playing it off against Joseph. And it's like, most of the time, I'm usually not a big fan of, like, the overdone Pharaoh reprises where it's like, okay, I get this, but I don't get this. It's like Lloyd Webber.
He did it well. He did it well, though.
Right? And that's exactly, like, he made me want to have a reprise. Most of the time, I'm like, okay, Pharaoh, we get it. You're Elvis. It's funny. Okay, the stroke's gone a bit long now. Let's wrap this scene up. But in this, I was like, no, keep him going. Like, encore. Exactly. So, like, it totally worked for what it is, and he owned that space. So I give nothing but shout out to to Tosh.
Kudos to him.
Kudos to him all the way.
Beautiful.
All the way. But Esther, what was your favorite production or design element, would you say?
It was the one you missed.
Oh, the set design with, like, the hidden elements of the Lloyd Webber shows?
Yeah, I managed to draw my gaze away from the Pharaoh, which was very difficult.
It is.
But because I loved hieroglyphs when I was little, so I was like, oh, I've got to see the hieroglyphs.
Of course.
So there was, if you're facing the stage, on the right side, there was a phantom of the opera mask. And on the left side, like, you had your musical note, which I was like, oh, that's Elvis. But you also had a hamburger.
I don't know why there's a hamburger.
I feel like, for the 7 fat cows that came out of the Nile. Like, that was the only connection I could make. But the fact that they had a phantom mask just popped in there, it made me want to pay attention to everything else.
I would have loved if
as
they had
well.
done more, like done like hieroglyphics, because like there are a
Cats.
lot of iconic.
I was expecting something from Cats because I was like,
Yeah, like the
Egypt,
cat
cats, that makes
eyes.
sense.
Yeah, like the cat
There
eye
was
hieroglyph.
nothing.
You could have done that. You could have done the two angels for Jesus Christ
Yeah.
Superstar.
Yeah.
You could have done the Evita Head Star thing. I don't know how you do Sunset
know.
Boulevard.
I don't know.
But you could have done every one of the Weber shows in the Hieroglyphs, which I
easily.
think would have been a lot of fun.
I think Phantom would have been like the most well-known icon.
Oh, absolutely. You would
and
know
I think that's
that.
why they stuck it in there, because they're just like, oh, look at this Easter egg. Did you catch it? No? Too bad. Come see the show again.
Yeah, like, well, that's exactly, like, I was sitting off to the side, so I couldn't see that one part of the set. I could see the far side of that wall, but not the actual, because I was looking for it, because you told me to look for that, and I was like, is it on the camel cart? Like, did they just tie a mask to the camel cart and hide it there? Like, where did they put this mask? And I mean, so shout out, let me just see here. Who did the sets? Sets were designed by Morgan Large, who also did the costumes as well. So
nice.
Shout out to Morgan Large for his very well done. I mean, you can even see in the background here with the way they used fabrics to make the different tents and different settings. It was like so well done. Like it felt very like you felt like you were in the desert. You felt like you were in Egypt. Like it, and I mean, just the fact that we have that big Elvis sign that comes down that says the King. It's like, and the fact that it ends and it goes up and then the minute the reprise starts,
it comes back down.
It comes back down again.
We're done. No, we're not.
No, we're not. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the bicycle camels, that was really funny too.
I was expecting the camels, but I was expecting it more to be like Lion King style, I guess.
Yeah.
Where like you have like maybe a body and then two people doing a puppet, but on the tricycle, it was so much funnier.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And the fact there was like a little kid riding one at one point, I was like, ha, 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 ha.
It was beautiful.
Well done. Well done. But my shout out actually goes to the orchestrations by John Cameron, because they were terrific. I love that we had a proper brass section in this show, and it wasn't synthesized. It wasn't done on a keyboard with different effects going on it. It was like the amount of people who I saw before the show, after the show, and during intermission who would walk to the front of the stage just to peer into the orchestra pit. Tells me people were really interested in that live music element that they were doing. And if you look in there, they had the drums, they had saxophones, they had the guitars, they had strings. Like it was a full-fledged proper orchestra, and that's something you very rarely ever find. And the fact that the score is so vast between like Oklahoma Western to Go 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 Joseph, like disco to Elvis sounding to like the French New Wave. Like music, like it's so vast that it'd be so easy just to go, okay, we're not getting all these different instruments. We'll do a majority of this on keyboard and we'll just synthesize it. It's like the fact they actually went out and got the live orchestra. You could feel it. Like I was 3 or 4 rows from the front off to the side is where I ended up being. Thanks to fantastic rush seats brought to you by Mirvish. Get your rush seats. Day of show. Right on the website. Really easy to find. Highly recommend. But that being said, like it was amazing. Like I would, like, there were moments, especially during the entr'acte at the end of intermission that they start playing. I was blown back, and the audience got right into it. Like when it got to the bump, 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 the Potiphar theme, the whole audience was clapping.
Oh yeah,
they were getting right into this, and it was terrific. Like I couldn't love this more. Like once again, I love a good orchestration because that just shows me how well the orchestra understands the show, knows what's needed, what's not needed to highlight the different elements. And the fact that it's also a revival where you can usually downsize in a revival, the fact they didn't went, no, we need to have full, rich sound from this show, totally worked. So I'm just like all the way for that beautiful orchestration. So
I mean, you kind of have to have it though, because it's not even a musical with dialogue interspersed. It's a musical. You listen to it in one shot.
Yes.
So the music is so important in that. And if you don't have a good orchestra, you don't have good music, and then you don't necessarily have a good show.
Yep. And that's something that's been talked about in the theater community for a long time now, that a lot of shows are downsizing their orchestras because it's a bit cheaper, like cost-wise.
Yeah.
Bring down the cost a bit, cut a few flautists, cut a few violins, cut a few here and there, and, thin it out a bit, but we can fill it in with more keyboards or something. I get why you do it, but it also breaks my heart because
Yeah.
there's nothing better than when you're sitting in an audience and just a wall of sound comes out of that pit and hits you. It's just amazing and just sounds so, so good. It's like, oh, damn. Like, you can't beat that rush, that adrenaline feeling, especially during the finale of Act 1, the Go-Go Joseph. Like, when it gets going, like...
It goes.
It goes, man. It goes.
It goes.
It goes. Right, man? Like, there's a lot of dance breaks in this show that you need a good orchestra and good sounding orchestration for to make those dance numbers dynamic enough to warrant the attention. I mean, the Can. I love that bit.
I'm kind of sad that they cut out the Argentinian tango.
I wasn't sad about missing that.
Okay, I really like it though.
It is funny, but I love the joke of Can and Kanan. I was like,
that was good. It was one of those, are they going to cut it out because it's a little too mature? But then I was like, but also Bear Rug and Potiphar's wife.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get into that number. I got thoughts on that number.
Okay.
I have thoughts on that.
You have thoughts. Oh gosh.
Yes. But I mean, like, but that's it right there, is every dance number had to captivate the audience. And the only way you do that is if it sounds really good to the ear, the audience will go with it and be wrapped up in the whole moment, because it's the combination of singing, dancing, and acting that make a really good musical number, right? That's the combo that works.
Yeah.
So if you're missing one element, you're like, oh, it doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
And I've been at shows where the sound mix isn't great, or the orchestra is kind of just, it's there. It's not bad, but it's not like blowing my lid off. You know, it's like, okay, we need, it's an important aspect to that show. So I'm all for some really good orchestration. And John Cameron, you delivered, sir. I applaud you. Indeed. But let's get into something that's a bit more show specific. Now, we've alluded to, we haven't dove in fully yet, and that's, in this production, the roles of the narrator and the children's chorus are expanded as they play some of the supporting roles like Jacob, Potiphar, Potiphar's wife, the butler, the cook, jail guard.
Kind of Pharaoh, kind of
Pharaoh, kind of not Pharaoh. Yeah. So they basically all
the brothers.
The brothers, which is fun. So there's some expansion that's done to these two roles. So did this expansion work for you? And what do you think was lost or gained by doing this choice of expansion?
I liked the narrator as Jacob, just for the comedic value of her stroking the beard. And just like pulling it down and putting it back up again. I feel that some of the smaller roles could have gone to the ensemble though. Like specifically like Potiphar's wife could have gone to one of the ladies in the ensemble.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I feel would have been better in that specific aspect.
Yes.
Who else did the narrator play?
She played the jail guard at the end of Act 1, who brings in the...
That was entertaining, mostly because you knew it was her.
Yes.
It was the third person she was being, and then she alluded to, it's still me, guys.
Yeah. With the eye patch.
Yeah. Comedic value-wise, I enjoyed that they expanded the narrator's role in that way.
Yeah. Yes.
Except for Potiphar's wife. I think that should have been another member of the female ensemble. I think that should have gone to somebody else.
Yes. Children's chorus?
Children's chorus. I am very happy that they were included. Because every other kind of production that there is, they just sort of sit off to the side. They literally are the chorus.
Yeah, and they have colored shirts on. You know?
If it's a Greek tragedy, they're the chorus. They're telling Joseph, why would you do that?
Yeah.
So I like that they were included. I especially liked that they played some of the brothers.
That was so fun.
Because
I love the one that did the soprano wail during the
yeah,
it was like good. And that's so funny.
It was a Sound of Music moment kind of thing.
Yes.
Almost.
Yes.
But I like that because not only did it bring the children in more to the show, but it's also more accurate to the ages of the brothers in the Bible.
True.
Except for Joseph. We're discounting Joseph in that statement because Joseph has to be played by an adult in this for it to work kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like the fact that Benjamin was a kid, well, yeah, he's 20 years younger than the oldest brother.
Yeah, he's
so the age difference makes sense. And I liked that aspect where it's like, oh, it makes sense. This is what it actually would have looked like, kind of, if everything worked out, right?
And I love the fake beards. Like, we can see them in the background.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Behind me, like, with the little fake beards on. It's so cute.
It's so cute and so funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with you on a lot of points here. And actually, I'm surprised we agreed on a lot of things. So,
really?
First off, Vanessa Fisher played the narrator. And she's actually right behind me.
As
Jacob.
Just right there,
Yeah, half her head showing.
No beard in that.
No beard. You can't see the beard in that one. But yeah, so first of all, the narrator is a terrific role. I love the narrator. So the only one I felt really worked was the guard. That was the one where I was like, okay, I can see why the narrator would play that small role, because it's a fun little see the narrator's going throughout the story. When it came to Jacob, I thought Vanessa was terrific. I thought she was very funny as Jacob. But because of the ending where she's got to get on and get off, Joseph's got to get on and get off at the end, you miss the big emotional climax of the piece, which is Jacob and Joseph reuniting and giving a big hug to each other. Yeah. And you get that cathartic, father and son, the favorite's back, and the dad gets to have his favorite child back. Because she's on, he's off, they're doing this mix and match costume change. You never quite got the closure. And I just felt, as much as I enjoyed her Jacob, I was like, this could have been another actor on the cast. Like, get Donny Osmond to play him. Get like cop somebody from the Toronto production to come in and take on the role of Jacob. Just get another it has to be someone older, obviously. Like,
make it a cameo almost.
Like
a Stan Lee, Donny Osmond.
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, if you watch the 90s Pro Shop, the guy who's playing Jacob in that is Sir Richard Attenborough. Like,
is it?
That, like, the guy who directed Gandhi and played Hammond in Jurassic Park spared no expense. That's him. He's playing Jacob in this.
I need to rewatch this again now.
Yeah, and he's great, and it's a great little cameo role that's like, unless you know it's him, it's like, oh, that's fun that he's there. So, I mean, that's the thing where I'm like, I would have loved Jacob to be Jacob. And then you have Potiphar's wife. And that role is so removed. It's like a 180 from this wholesome narrator part. But seeing her do this very raunchy, sexual, lusting, and as we said, she does assault Joseph. In this. Like, they're gyrating and hip thrusting and everything else. Like, it's very clear what's going on in this. I was like, this doesn't feel like the role the narrator should be playing. You're right. It should have been a female ensemble member who could have done this part. Or once again, get a cameo appearance. Get like one of the great Canadian stage actors. Like, where's Lisa Horner? Call up Lisa Horner. She's on a whole bunch of Mirvish shows. Get her to come back and play Potiphar's wife for one scene. It could be a lot of fun who you get to play that role. It's a great little cameo in and out appearance. So like, as much as Vanessa did great at each one of those roles, like directorially, dramaturgically, my mind goes, those two roles really should have gone to
somebody else,
other people, just to, once again, as we said, Jacob gets the emotional catharsis at the end by having his own weight and not always thinking, oh, it's the narrator, she gotta go do something else. Or the Potiphar's wife is just so removed from the narrator that I'm like, this just feels cringy and kind of weird. Like, the narrator shouldn't be doing this to Joseph.
The narrator is supposed to be like God and just stands back until needing to Is the narrator God? Say that?
Taking her out. You definitely can make a very good argument that she's kind of like the voice of God, because she comes in throughout the story. And I mean, she doesn't help Joseph when he's thrown in the pit. She's just standing outside going, yeah, they did this and then they did this. Like, she's not helping him either way. And then she does interact with him when he's in the jail, and she says, hang in there, like, don't worry, we read the book, we know,
I mean,
we're gonna be okay. So
interesting.
I mean, that's a dramaturgical deep dive you could really do. Is the narrator supposed to be kind of like the voice of God in that? Who knows? But that's you also could view it as, is she Joseph's long dead mother, like the spirit of his long dead mother who's telling the story?
True.
Who knows? There's a whole bunch of different readings you could do of who the narrator is that I don't know if many people have done, so it's an interesting choice. When it comes to the kids, though, love the kids getting involved in more aspects of the show, because it is very boring as a child that you just got to sit on like the one song where it's like Jacob and Sons. The kids are singing ba ba ba, which I didn't realize they were singing ba 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 until I watched them and actually watched it, tried to hear what they were singing. It's like, oh, they're singing ba ba ba. It's like
they are the sheep.
They are the sheep. This could be really boring if you're a kid. So outside ba ba ba. It's like, you know, ooh like I'm glad that they went, oh, we can use the kids in a more fun way here.
Yeah.
And really kind of utilize them in more small roles. Like I will say Emily Watts, the wonderful little redheaded girl with the braids who played the butler, she was terrific.
She was, yeah.
The little sass she gave to the narrator when, like, because the original line is the Jeeves of his time. And she just gives the narrator a look of, what did you just say? And she goes, oh, sorry.
Jeeves of her time.
The Jeeves of her time. And it's like, perfect little dig there. And then the fact she's going around trying to dust the whole set as like Pharaoh's doing his big number. It's like so fun. And the kids are really having a blast. But I'm just, this is great. Like you're having so much fun with this. Like go kids. The only one that didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Is when they cast, hold on, I have his name here in my notes. No, maybe I don't. Hold on. Let me look at their pictures. I can tell you which kid it was. For dramatic effect, where is he? Oh, Isaac Chan, I think is his name. He played Potiphar. And I was like, should there really be a child in this adultery section of the show? Like, this seems...
It felt weird.
It felt weird. It felt weird. Where I'm like, as much as it's funny seeing him in, like, the big kind of striped jacket and everything else, kind of doing a bit of the Trumpian, counting his money. And it's like the fact that he's got the very fruity drink there next to him. That part, but the minute you get into the adultery angle and he's got to be really angry, and it's like, you just walked in on your wife banging some other dude here.
You just walked in on your wife who is physically several years older than you are, and you're saying, you're mine, and that just, it felt weird.
Yes. That's where I was like, can we not have another ensemble member? Like, the Potiphar section should just be its own thing. Because it is such a, we'll get into that more about the section itself, because it is a very...
It's raunchy.
It's raunchy. In a kid's show, you're like, really? But I'm like, it's a Bible story, so it is part of Joseph's story.
Yeah. And
it was added later on in the run. Like, it wasn't a part of the school shows. That expanded the show to make it a full-fledged show. It was added in. But either way, point being, Isaac, you were wonderful as Potiphar. You were very funny. And I got a good chuckle until I sat back and went, oh.
It's funny until you think about it.
Yeah, then you're like, oh, okay, hold on. Wait a minute here. This feels a little awkward that a child is part of this adultery plot line. Maybe let's give that to an adult. Because, I mean, none of the other female members of the other kid females, they're not part of the dance with the other women. But they were part of Jacob's wives, but they weren't there in that section. So the director was very clear, like, no kids involved except for the one Potiphar. That's it. But I'm like,
maybe we shouldn't have made that decision, but okay.
Yeah. But once again, directorial choice. But overall, the kids did really well. And the director knew how to use them, where it's like, we can't teach you this dance fast enough. So you're going to sit back and watch here, but where we can't teach you the dance, you will be included. And it's like, that's a good director who knows where to push and where to kind of let the kids be in the background a bit. Because those dances are complex. Like, there's a lot of steps in those dances that as a kid, you can only retain so much in like 3 weeks of rehearsal.
I wouldn't be able to retain that much.
Yeah, neither could I. My body doesn't dance like that anymore anyway, so I'd be like, nope. No,
yeah.
But yeah, no, like overall, both the narrator and the kids' chorus, the expansion worked really well in some parts. And really, it's only Potiphar we're both kind of going,
yeah.
That's the one section that maybe needed a bit of a revision. But overall, once again, they did a really great job and killed it. I mean, the riffing that Vanessa does as a narrator, oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
She owns that space. It is so good. So good. So love that. Let's get to the last question. Oh, no. So we have two more questions.
Two more questions.
So the first one is, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat had a long creation journey from being a 15-minute like primary school show that Jim Rice and Lloyd Webber were commissioned to write, to now being a fully developed musical that has had a very long life of its own. Obviously, because you're writing it differently every time you do it and you're expanding it, and you're aging as you're expanding it too. Like you're coming back to it a few years later. Like you're like as a writer, as you know, because you write, you mature over time. Your viewpoints change, right? Like what you write 2 years ago will not sound like what you write like now. So because of that, a lot of critics over the years have noted there is a bit of a tonal differences in this piece. Like it isn't always cohesive in that sense, and sometimes that can really trip up creators of the show. So with this production, do you think this tonal divide was bridged? Do you think that they kind of smoothed it out enough that it all kind of went together pretty well?
They definitely toned down certain adult aspects. For example, having the narrator, Potiphar's wife, like fully clothed, but with like some sparkly things over the suit.
Yeah, she had like the shawl. She had like a boa and stuff.
And then turning the sexy Argentine tango into the can.
Yeah.
So they definitely toned down certain things, but they definitely, I don't think at least, they didn't cut out the adult jokes.
No, they didn't.
Where there was still that two-tone, where if you're a kid, that joke's going to go over your head, but you're still going to find it funny because of some other aspect of that joke.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So it still had that two-tone for kids and adults, where all age groups can really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes total sense because you and I are in very much agreement on this, where this was definitely a piece where you're right, they definitely toned down some of the raunchier, like direct raunchier elements.
Oh, yeah.
Except for the Potiphar's wife dance. That is probably the most raunchy. You can't do it any other way.
You can tame it, but you can't exactly take it out.
Yeah, you can't hide it. No, exactly. Yeah. And as I was saying, it was an late episode of the story that was added later on, where in the original versions, they skipped Potiphar's wife's story completely and just had Joseph taken to Egypt and thrown in jail. And then he meets the cook and the butler and he gets to meet Pharaoh. But when they were expanding the show, they went, okay, we got to add more to this. So let's go back and look, we missed a whole episode where Joseph gets accosted by his boss's wife. Let's add that in. And it's like, that's a very mature element. But once again, as you said, they kind of did their best to make sure it wasn't too raunchy that parents would go, this feels weird. Like if you watch the 90s Pro Shot, you're right. Like
it's very
Potiphar's
sexy.
wife is basically wearing nipple paste.
And it's like,
oh my.
Lots of tassels. Lots of
tassels. This is
very little clothing. Yeah.
Very little clothing. And so what was great was they still kept those elements, but they were smaller, like subtle moments, like the handmaids peeking under Pharaoh's robes and reacting as
sorry.
That was like
the fact that when they did the repeat, and it happened 2 more times,
and every time it's the same reaction of
oh my god,
it's so good. But once again, as a kid, you'll be looking at the statues moving. You're gonna move everywhere else.
Yeah,
you're not gonna quite catch what they're doing. But it was so well done, and I mean, the Potiphar's wife dance sequence was just raunchy enough that you were like, okay, we're getting some dirty dancing moves in here, but not, downright explicit. And we're playing with the bear rug, so we can kind of hide some stuff there, and it's kind of funny because the narrator's wearing the rug and is chasing Joseph around. So as adults, we know what's really going on. As kids, are like, oh, it's funny, the narrator's doing this. So you can definitely tell the show was designed. It's kind of like a Pixar movie where they're kid friendly, but there definitely are adult elements that are underpinning this piece. That adult audiences go, aha, I see what you're doing. I caught you. So definitely think they bridged it better than I would even say the 90s version. The 90s version with the Pro Shot, like as you said, the Potiphar's wife was very raunchy. Like it definitely was a bit more risque than this. So I definitely think that Laurence Connor did a really good job of knowing how far he could push the envelope until parents would go, okay, this is too much. No, don't like this. Don't like this. Stop.
Yeah.
So so it worked well. It worked really well. So I was really happy with the way that worked out there. That was really well done. So well done to them on that front.
See, but also I think it's easier to go from 15-minute kid version to adult version as well. Yeah. Where like when we were in school, we would do like junior musicals. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah.
Cool. And so we did Into the Woods Junior.
No second act.
No second act. So it cuts off all the bad stuff and all the very terrible, sad ending. Well, you're also dealing with like grade 6s.
I know.
And grade 5, right? So it's one of those things. Yeah. So the fact that they were able to go the opposite way, where it's like kid to not kid.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really impressive. And to bridge that gap to make it both kid and adult friendly is fantastic writing in general.
It really is. It's really well done. Like, I mean, people really don't understand how hard it is to do that. Where it's like, on one hand, you got to be enough for the adults, but on the other hand, like, don't be too kiddie, where the adults are going to roll their eyes and go, "Dear God, this is like so sweet and sappy that I'm going to lose it. Like, I'm gonna puke from all the sappiness of this piece." But no, it's a really good job. Exactly, the sweetness could have been overbearing, especially once you start incorporating the kids more into the show and they're playing some of the roles. Like, they really could have gone really to the extreme of schmacting, go big, go ham, almost pantomime. Yeah. They could have gone to that extreme. But they didn't. They were smart enough to go, the kids are going to play these roles, but they're going to play them genuinely. Like when the kids are in the jail and they're both telling the story, the baker says, like, his would be nice. That kid played that line sincerely, like, please give me a good review here. Yeah. Because I know what's on the line. Right? And his reaction to Pharaoh's got it in for you, kid. It's like, oh.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh
but
no.
They did a really, oh no. Benjamin. So good.
You sang that like Waterloo.
Waterloo. I wanted to. Waterloo.
Also a good musical.
It's a very good musical.
Yes.
It's also an underrated piece. But don't get me started on that. I could go on a whole tirade there. But yes, no, once again, tonally, they did a very good job. So, Esther, let's get to the final question, which is, would you recommend this production to others? Do you feel it is worthy of somebody purchasing a rush ticket and bringing out their family and friends to see this piece?
110%. Yes.
Yes.
But if you're a fan of Donny Osmond, keep in mind that it's not the Donny Osmond production.
It is very different. It's a revival.
It is a revival, but it's one of those, if that's what you're expecting, you need to leave those expectations at home. Otherwise, you will be disappointed. If that makes any sense.
It does. It does. Once again, it's understanding what this is. And this is a revival of a 70s musical that was very big in the 90s with Donny Osmond. And Donny Osmond, he is iconic in this role.
Oh, yes.
And there was rumor, as you told me, that there was they tried to get Donny Osmond to come back and play the Pharaoh on tour. But he said no. Oh, Donny.
He could have been Jacob.
Opportunity.
He could have been Jacob.
Could have been Jacob. I would have kept Tosh and moved Donny to playing Jacob. Because Donny Osmond, he's getting up there. Like, he's 65.
All right.
So he could, I put a great beard on him.
Yeah.
He could do it. I mean, Jacob was going to be ancient.
No.
I mean, yes, he's got 11 children, but,
He's going to be like 50 max. Like, absolute maximum, if I had to guess.
It's like Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof. He's got 5 daughters, they age him up a bit. But he's not like ancient, where he's hobbling along. So
it's a realistic age.
Exactly. Yeah. So Donny should have been Jacob. I agree on that one. But I would absolutely recommend this too. I was trying to convince my dad to come down and see it this weekend, but he's like, I'm busy, sorry. And I'm like,
missing out.
You're missing out, man. It's great. It's such a good show. It's so good. And I mean, the 90s Pro Shot is great, but this is such a great modern breath of fresh air. Because some of those 90s elements are very 90s. And you're like, this definitely needs a bit of new air. And so, I mean, I really hope this goes to Broadway and does a revival run on Broadway, because this is totally prime for a Broadway audience. They would totally get into this and lap this up. Easily, right? Like, this is such an easy show.
Easily. Yeah.
You could totally do it. So, highly recommend Lloyd Webber if you're looking for your next show to come to Broadway after Bad Cinderella there.
Love that one.
That's a side combo.
I like it.
Okay. Okay. Either way, so yes, go see it. Highly recommend. So there we go. But Esther, before we go, since we have now completed all the questions, where can people find and follow you and your amazing writing?
So I'm mainly on Instagram at e.f.fisher. That's my Instagram handle, all lowercase. That's my writing. That's my writing Instagram.
I love it. And we will have it in the description box below that you can easily copy and paste it in to your search bars, and you can find and follow Esther.
Yay.
Right? Exactly. And if you want, come on out to Medieval Times. You may see Esther in person.
I am always there.
It's true. I stole her away for one night for us to talk about Joseph, and then we're right back to the chicken and the corn and the potato tomorrow. Yay! I mean, Esther could even be your wench if you get lucky.
I could, yeah. If you're lucky, I'm the best one there, obviously.
Absolutely, obviously. No bias at all.
None at all.
None at all.
At Medieval Times, I am Joseph. I am the
Can you imagine Medieval Times just being like, why do we keep getting these random hashtags? Bring back Esther's colored coat.
Put me in the sand. I will wear all the costumes.
Esther looks handsome. She looks smart. She is a walking work of art. Such a dazzling coat of many colors. I
love my coat of many colors.
And Esther, you were telling me that you actually wrote a poem for each of those.
Yeah. So I went through the entire song and took the colors and wrote a short poem for each of them. Basically,
that's a lot of colors.
Oh yeah. It's something like 42, I want to say.
Oh my god.
Like, it was a lot of colors when you actually count them. There's a lot of colors. And it's just like kind of what you associate or could associate with each color. So yeah, I'm hoping that will be published in the next year.
Well, when it's published, Esther, you let us know. We will happily post about it because I'm sure it will be a hit. Dun-dun-dun. And you can follow me on social media platforms at Mackenzie Horner. You can also follow my other antics where I do musicals with Before the Downbeat Musical podcast. We're working on season 5, but we have some awesome live movie musical commentaries in the works. And you can always check out our YouTube channel or our podcast feed. We actually may be even covering Joseph this coming season. Who knows? You'll have to tune in and find out.
Ooh.
So there you go. Woohoo! But until then, everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, and we will see you all in the next episode. Cheers! There's one more angel in heaven.
I can't hit that high note.
There's one more tear in my eye. But Esther, the things that you stood for, like truth and life, never die. There you go. Thanks, everybody. Bye.